Hey everybody. So I wanted to do a little response to a video I watched this morning about the Ecuador and Mexico issue, and Ecuador storming the Mexican embassy in Quito to arrest the former vice president. I have several opinions about this, or one real opinion about this, but I wanted to react to this story first from the Breaking Points channel on YouTube. So here we go.
Yeah, because it's easy to lose sight of this because so much of the conversation has been about those World Central Kitchen aid workers. But at the very same time, you had that strike, which was a violation of the Vienna Conventions, quite an extraordinary provocation on the Israeli part. And now the question is, how is Iran going to respond? All of the actors involved seem quite convinced that there is almost as a necessity going to be some sort of Iranian reaction. So what is that going to look like? Let's put this up on the screen from CNN. Their headline is U.S. preparing for significant Iran attack on U.S. or Israeli assets in the region as soon as, the headline says next week, that would be this week. They write here, the U.S. is on high alert, actively preparing for a significant attack that could come as soon as within the next week by Iran targeting Israeli or American assets.
They're talking about the strike that Israel committed on the Iranian embassy recently, and honestly didn't even know about this until this past weekend. But this was kind of a precursor to what happened here in Ecuador, and they're discussing it, and they're going to discuss the situation in Ecuador as to how it relates to this incident.
What is also actually shocking to me has not been the change. It wasn't the actions itself, although, I mean, obviously a violation of the Vienna Convention. It was how quickly the Vienna Convention has begun to fall apart. And I've been watching this with great interest. Let's put this up there on the screen. This actually, by the way, is something that's happening in our hemisphere and might affect us. Mexico has completely severed diplomatic ties with Ecuador, where days after the Iranian strike, Ecuador's police stormed in to the into the Mexican embassy to arrest their former vice president. This is an extraordinary breach of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. And I mean, for example, the head of the Mexican consulate said in Quito, "This is not possible. It cannot be. This is crazy. I am very worried. They could kill him. There is no basis to do this. This is totally outside of the norm." I mean, for all time, people have dissidents and others. I don't even know much about the particular governments here involved. And I don't care, because the reason why this is dangerous, this is all happening at the same time, is the collapse of consular relations is especially among sovereign nations. We're not talking here about protest groups or something like that storming an embassy and holding people hostage. Is really a total breakdown in international norms and violations, which after they become normalized over and over again, could lead to extraordinary things. I mean, for example, there were often CIA plans to assassinate Julian Assange inside of the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Even the British, the US, and the CIA was like, no, we can't do it.
Yeah,
it was just even there. No matter what, not possible. Even in the height of the Cold War, the United States never breached the Soviet embassy here in Washington. Now we
think about what he's saying and how important it is that embassies around the world are protected, and how insane it is that a country will go into another embassy to arrest someone or strike another embassy. Even with all the things the United States has done in the past, and the things they've tried to do, and countries they've overthrown and coups they've been behind, even the U.S. refused to go into an embassy to assault it or kidnap someone or arrest someone. That should show you the magnitude of what Ecuador has done, and especially considering that this country it's not like a huge nation. It doesn't have, some significant import-export trade going on where it's really vital to other countries. It's not Brazil, it's not Mexico. For this country to do that and take such a big step, there's too many downsides to this.
And now we definitely dug tunnels around said embassy and did some interesting things, and they did the same to us. But even they would never dare to enter our embassy. So to watch the breakdown of this happen in real time, this actually is what struck some real fear into me. Watching this all become normalized has actually been highly dangerous, I think, to the international system.
There is no doubt about it. And again, now our consular facilities, now our embassies abroad are also at risk because there's no putting this toothpaste back in the tube. We didn't say boo about this Israeli strike in Damascus on Iran's consular building. We didn't say anything. We didn't object to it. We didn't criticize it. We didn't say anything about it. So how are we going to then critique another country if they do the same thing? This is now on the table, period, end of story. And Dr. Trita Parsi making a point about how it's not just with regard to this violation, this flagrant violation of the Vienna Convention. Let's go ahead and put his tweet up on the screen here. He says, international norms being destroyed in front of our eyes. Israel ignores UN Security Council resolutions and ICJ rulings. The US, after voting for that one resolution, then immediately says, oh, it's not binding. Well, that is just not true. We're just making stuff up. Israel bombs the Iranian consulate in violation of the Vienna Convention. Ecuador then attacks the Mexican embassy, violating also the Vienna Convention.
From what I understand, I haven't even seen yet a response to the U.S. about whatever the hell is going on here with Mexico and with Ecuador. And you may pretend, that it doesn't matter, but Mexico and Ecuador are a hell of a lot closer than Gaza and Moscow or Kyiv. These are places which really could affect us. Break down relations between the two of them. Vital U.S. trading partner, one of the largest trading partners in the world, and we just ignore it, completely. A flagrant attack and violation here in the Western Hemisphere. So was it greenlit by America? That's another even more interesting, discussion, because if it was, then we basically had quasi, green lights of a breach of these things happen in a 1 week period, which would have been extraordinary if they'd happened in the last 50 years, even a couple of times. Really very underrated discussion, unfortunately. And I think that the strike on the Iranian embassy, already we're seeing the result of it.
Yeah, it is amazing how quick, because, I'm sure the Ecuadorians aren't stupid. They knew we can't say anything about it right now because we just let Israel go. So what are we going to say? We just have to go, oh, well, that wasn't great. But anyway, moving on. We can't say anything about it.
Okay, so let's talk about this. They bring up a great point about the embassy, or the attack on the embassy, the Iranian embassy, by Israel. The United States stayed pretty silent about it. Didn't come out really against it. And, well, that just leaves the door open now for other countries to violate other embassies. And what is the United States going to say? Oh, you can't do that? Well, you didn't say anything when Israel did it. And we're putting ourselves, as the United States, we're putting ourselves in a bind here by not keeping, you got to keep the same energy with everyone. If it's bad for Russia, then it's bad for Israel. If it's bad for Israel, it's bad for Ecuador. Like you can't pick and choose, whether they're your friends or not. A friend will tell a friend when they're screwing up. And I don't want to make this a thing about like Israel or whatnot because we're talking about Ecuador, but I'm just saying that like it's relevant because what Ecuador did, in my opinion, is just a really, really, really big mistake. Yes, you go after the criminals, you don't let people get away with crimes, but it's not worth the health and well-being of the entire country. Like this could actually affect the entire country because you want to go after one guy. Sometimes you got to suck your pride up and let it go. Sometimes that's just more important. I've learned this from years of the field I worked in. Sometimes you got to let your pride go and move on. It is better in the long run. I know they wanted this guy. I know he was on technically on Ecuadorian soil, but really it was Mexico. He was in their embassy. He was on the run. I get it. Cannot violate someone's soil. You can't do it. Ecuador wouldn't tolerate the United States running into their embassy to arrest someone. Now, of course, Ecuador doesn't have the power to really fight against the United States, but that being said, they'd be against it in the most harsh terms. It's just really a mistake, Noboa. I don't really have, I didn't really have a lot of bad things to say about him, but this is a mistake. Like this is really a mistake. This could cause so many other problems down the line, and We love this country. It's great. I just don't like to see, the government making unforced errors like this, because this is truly an unforced error. It's, yeah, it was just unnecessary. And like I said, I know there's people who agree with what happened, that you shouldn't let the guy get away. But think about this. What are you going to get in return for capturing him? What is the country going to get in return? The country isn't going to become more financially stable, or jobs aren't going to get better. The economy isn't going to improve because this guy is locked up. However, capturing him will cause all those things to go in the opposite direction, potentially. Like, it can make things worse for the entire country because you wanted this one guy so bad. It's just a bad move. I don't know if maybe they're playing some four-dimensional chess, and I'm just not understanding what the decision was. But I mean, on the surface, it just looks like a really bad move. Hopefully this gets solved in some kind of diplomatic way. I don't know what that would be, because I'm pretty sure Ecuador isn't giving him up. I don't know how they're going to apologize to Mexico. I don't know what concessions are going to need to be made. Speaking with someone else, he said, the best policy is probably for the government to not say anything. And you know what? I agree. If they say anything, they're going to end up putting their foot in their mouth. They just stay silent about it and let the news cycle kind of run its course, and whatever's going to happen in the international court run its course. This might go away. But if they start boasting about it and talking about, like, yeah, we took action, and leave it alone, you already went too far. So I'd probably agree. Yeah, leave it alone at this point, and try to diplomatically solve this issue. So hopefully Ecuador, hopefully we get it together. Like I said, we love this country. We ain't going nowhere. Unforced errors. That's always a bad thing. So anyway, thanks for watching.